Gummilur's like, brush the toilet seat soon, so I can go to bed.
Okay.
Now there's something that I don't understand.
Sorry, me neither. But ladies and gentlemen,
We are on the final table.
and I think at this point it's pretty safe to say that we are at least break even for the day.
We are at least break even for the day. Actually thinking that telephone kiosk is likely a reg as well. But we didn't have the nine-man statistics before.
So it's sarjapitty. Sorry, I tried to figure it out, but my brains just couldn't work out. Yeah, it means that win the whole thing. Indeed.
But if you are looking, like later on, if you are looking at the start of this session and you are looking at us now, you would be amazed at what can happen during a session that you can still laugh after everything that has happened.
It's been like the most difficult evening ever holding any kind of poker nights. But at least we haven't had that situation that we should call Kirati, the hospital or anything. So we are physically fine, but mentally not so.
Our technology or our tech isn't fine.
And my tooth aches a little bit still. So
You are not
actually
physically fine.
I'm not physically completely fine.
But that doesn't matter. We are on the final table, and now we are on the plus side for sure.
And nobody got busted. It was three-way all-in.
When there are so few bigger stacks, we are going to push ace-9 here. We are going to hate if one of the big stacks calls, but...
Oh well.
What a flick of a switch from doom to boom boom.
Indeed. So there was something behind that fact that my wisdom tooth was aching.
No elimination, it's going to be 4 figs.
Congratulations so far, but still we are aiming for 6.6k. Now we are a step closer.
Step closer, but the good player got more chips. There are now our heads-up specialist has made some good notes, tired on the Jack 3 hand, so you should revisit the link that has been here. And we are going to shove Queen 10 off. It's going to be an easy shove. And we are carrying it on with a solid hand. Ouch.
Ay. But still in the game.
Still in the game, and that's what matters. We are pushing them chips in. They can't multiply if they are in your stack. They need to be in the middle to multiply. And what do you steal when you are young, you will own when you are old?
Do you have some kind of age crisis?
And we are flipping.
Yay! And we are winning them flips! Sorry. I hope I didn't make anyone there. Oh, how much monies do we have already? Like 2k almost.
Yeah. And now the presumably worst player got more, and which is nice. It would have been icky if he would be shoving their previous hand. It's actually still icky. Because the ICM considerations, we are going to be...
This is getting really exciting. Oh dear.
Yeah, now it's getting really exciting when it's all about the big monies.
So we have now very interesting spots, and let's hope that we still have some luck on our side.
I think it's still really nice that we are now having a decent chip lead, because they are all about the equal stacks, even though I don't think that the players that are playing MTTs know much about ICM, but it should make us really good spots to abuse the...
It should. They should have even a little bit, some kind of feeling, even though I'm sure they don't know enough of the ICM, to be honest.
Yeah, so they should be afraid. Close, close.
I promise to scream Tilululay really, really loud if we win.
And you lost, bro. Okay, kinda have to rail this.
You cannot leave now. You will regret that for the rest of your life otherwise.
I think that's like getting a bit ahead of yourself.
It doesn't harm to be optimistic, because I don't usually am, but
Normally I don't. This is even close.
maybe just presume that they don't know enough to be.
And how about that queen 7 at small blind? Do you push that if it's unopened? If it's going to be like this, that the antes are so high, I'm going to push pretty much any two cards from SB, because it doesn't, or people don't need to be folding a ton. And now we are having an any two call here, because we don't need we need 25% equity here, and we are getting it even with 9-6.
Yay, man!
And that should also make them fear a bit.
Well, definitely. If you are going to make a call like that, they are going to think you are a maniac if they don't know how to call those pots.
Yeah, even though it's pretty self-evident. And now we are screwed. Completely screwed. But it doesn't matter. We are still having chips.
Yeah, we still have chips.
Actually, we still have a chip lead, so even that's nice. That would have been an interesting spot had he min-raised, because it would pretty much be that I would have been shoving over to Brian there, even with a really bad hand, and it's going to look really stupid on this stream if he's having a nutty hand.
And we are three-handed.
It's actually when we are having exactly 10 BBs. This is like we are opening ourselves up for exploitation, but we are also looking quite strong to Brian. And now he should make quite the binary decision that if he's not having any clubs, he should fold a lot. So we don't need to bet the huge amount there.
I guess I would have just shoved that pre-flop.
Yeah, that would probably be plus EV, or that would be plus EV anyway. And now that's problematic because we are both now medium stacks and there is one big stack, so the big stack can abuse the medium stacks quite a lot here. Needing some cards or spots. Crap. We are getting a break now.
My head is gonna explode.
Oh well, we are going to a break and we'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm going to leave the table on, but... So we are back. It's actually it's really close. Crap. That sucks. Losing on a first hand after the break. Unlucky that he had one of those hands that he's going to call with, so
oh dear.
a bit of a problem for us, but still 3.6k, so we are up something like 3.3k for the session, so it's nice, even though this wasn't the biggest or even one of the biggest tourneys that we have today, so this is how the day went. So we had the 185 from the shootout, and then we had the one big and 125 one buy-ins and 3.359.
That's an awesome.
280 shove, we were about 7 BBs deep. So I think that when I don't know the player, that he's going to fold way too much there. Actually, we can look at the 2-8 hand, because I think that's something that will get questions, I'm pretty sure. I'm closing my stars and opening the Holdem Resources Calculator. He was a villain that was an unknown, and we had seen him call just one good hand, so we don't have much information about the villain. And this is going to be pretty close to 65-35, so it's pretty equal situation to the situations at the end of the 6-max tourneys, so that's one reason why 6-max tourneys are good for MTT players as well. And this is why 8-2 off looks like, if the opponent plays perfectly, 8-2 off will be losing here 0.64% of the final table prize pool. But the opponent doesn't need to be too much tighter. I think around 45% will be enough for us to be shoving easily any 2 cards here. Like 8-2 off is, and The villain doesn't need to be even folding good hands. Hands like 10-8 off there. Jack-7 off. Jack-4 suited. Something like that, that are hands that aren't self-evident. So I think that most of the players that are random players, they are not calling me wider. If I'm shoving 6 BBs there, they are not calling me wider than 45%. So I'm going to be shoving any 2 there. So the antes are so large, and people that are random are rarely reacting the correct way.
And if you look at that range, I could easily say that he's calling maximum 30% of his range at that point.
Yeah,
and
when it's
not even 45%. So that's why it's even better, I think. Way better. Even though it might look a bit spooky at the first part.
Yeah, like what are you shoving 8-2 off, but those are subs that you need to make if you want to play winning poker game.
Yeah, now we can afford a lots of good cheeseburgers.
And actually, Julas Pro had an interesting question about the 4-3 off hand. And this is an interesting one because what happened, the MC Heinz opened small, and he's interested in how wide can Brian shove. But if I'm thinking about this, I would probably make that Mac Heinz has the min-raise call range that would consist something like 10s plus, ace king plus. And he's going to have something like 3 or 2 times as much crap there. If we are trying to craft some ranges to him. So Brian can then shove pretty wide, but also when he gets called, he's being in a really bad spot. And because of the Mac Heinz ranges, and also that Mac Heinz ranges are, as a random, are probably worse than the optimal. But the Nash ranges should be that the Brian can't 3-bet any 2 cards. I forgot to copy the hand. And now we are making an advanced hand because we are looking at the... We want to use the additionally allow shove so that the first opener can also shove, that we are getting 3 decent ranges there. Yeah, the optimal min-raise range should be... Actually, it should be even tighter. Ace, king, and aces and kings that you should trap. Actually, the hands are in the wrong order here.
Oh, do you still have the previous hand?
Yeah, so scratch that. We are doing something nice again. Could you review that 8-7 suited sub well, as please? Yeah, of course. But we'll... So actually Mac Heinz is raising small only aces and kings and ace-8 off. Then Brian can 3-bet 25.5%, which looks like this.
It's quite random.
It's an interesting range. He can 3-bet pretty much any ace and anything that's not dominated, which is slightly interesting. And there's also minus EV hands that are in the Nash range as 3-bets, that are hands that he's losing on those hands, but the hands are tightening the opening range so much that they are profitable to include there, because if they wouldn't be included, then he would be opening more end. But I think this is really interesting in a way. And good catch. And there is the 8-7 suited. Let's replay that as well. This was when we were still four-handed, and I thought that I can shove there pretty wide when second largest stack is on the big blind, and it requires a really good hand for him to call, and this guy, even though he calls, he's not a threat for me, so actually he was calling with King Jack, and I don't think that's necessarily bad if you are thinking how wide I can shove there. But let's have the hand calculated, and actually we can't use that structure anymore. Oh, it would be really good to actually. I'm going to use a custom structure for 180-man's final table because it's going to be really close to other MTT structures in PokerStars. So I can actually raise here 8-7 off, but or actually that's not even my range, but my range would include 93.5% of the hands if everybody is playing correctly. And that would mean that the small blind would correctly call King 9 off and King Jack off, so it wasn't a bad call for him. And the big blind would call the same range regardless of if the small blind calls or not. So what about the ace-4 off hand where you min raise? How much better is min raise than 3-bet, than shoving? We can see how the different ranges form there. Thinking that in general opponent should be folding too much. And I was wrong, because Brian actually called me, which was really surprising. And on a monotone board I continuation bet small there, because I think that he's making binary decision. Actually it could have been even 150k. He shoved all over me. And even though I had a gut shot, I didn't call that one. But let's take that hand as well. View hand details, copy. And there is like two options. We can use it for a basic hand, first of all. When we are using it as a basic hand, we are seeing that ace-4 off is really on the edge of the hands that we want to be shoving here if opponents are calling perfectly. And this is actually pretty much the range that I would think that the sensible opponent would call, perhaps not king-queen suited. It's not an easy call for many. But when we are doing it as an advanced hand, and we are allowing shove as well, we are getting Nash ranges that are... I don't think that Nash ranges will include ace-4 off there. Actually, they will include ace-4 off, which is a surprise, because I think that the people aren't 3-betting as wide as they should here. And this is one of those spots that the range, this makes the Holdem Resources Calculator a bit rough to use sometimes, because it's taking its own idea of what the hands are, and when it's using its own idea there, it's going to bring some interesting options, but I think this is going to be more like what he's going to 3-bet. And even then, if he's going to 3-bet me 3 times as wide as he would be calling a shove, it would be more plus EV for me to min raise ace-4 off than to shove it. And Callion included a nice point that if the shove is marginal, and then it also easily becomes minus EV if villains will think that my range is capped and might call it a bit wider than Nash suggests. And of course the key there is to evaluate how your EQ post is changing between having only shove fold and having mixed ranges. And having both ranges, I would be gaining on average 0.2% here. And I would be gaining it because I think the opponents aren't playing optimally. And if I would only have shove ranges here, I would be breaking even. And Brian would be winning 0.2%. So I would be stealing equity from the small blind and Brian at this point if I'm min raising. So I think this is also one of those interesting spots that I thought that ace-4 off will be a marginal shove, and then when it's going to be a marginal shove I thought to include it to my raise fold range there against the, and when I'm having 15 big blinds I'm having a raise fold range there, even if effectively it's only 10 big blinds deep because of the large antes. So I think on those stack depths there is value in having mixed ranges compared to just shove fold. But I think there were good questions at the end, and thanks YouLostPro for the analysis on the heads up hand. There is a nice hand on the English hand analysis forum on the 180 men, and hope that someone takes a look at it, and which is an interesting hand I had while one tabling a $3.5 rebuy, where there were 2 people disconnected for a long time and I was dealt queens. And it would be interesting to see your opinions on this hand later on. And you should also take a look at the blogs. We are having a $50 to 5k challenge in 2 weeks. That will update every day. I will do another update today after this one. So stay tuned. And next week we are going to carry on doing a Sunday broadcast. So hope to see as many of you next Sunday, and thanks everybody who chatted. It's always easier for us and it's always more fun when there is active participation in the chat rooms. And thanks everybody for watching. If you are going to sleep, have a good night, and if you are still playing poker, may the best of luck follow you on the tables, and hope you win a lot of money.
See you and good night.